Welcome back to Unmasked. I'm Ronnie Thompson.
And I'm Adam Lazowski. Keep listening to hear this week's question.
So it's May Day, it's the last day of school, and we are getting quotes for this podcast. I'm Ronnie.
I'm Adam.
Hi. And today's question is, what is your opinion on dating culture and romance in our generation?
I think dating culture, especially in Boston, is a little bit whack. Sometimes I'm all fine with hookup culture and stuff, but it can be really hard to meet people and create good connections with them, especially with online platforms like Tinder and Hinge and stuff. But yeah.
In my opinion, here at BU, I feel like it's very not casual, and I think dating should be way more casual. It's not that serious. I feel like a lot of people here at BU date for marriage, and I feel like that's a wrong mindset to have in college.
What are your thoughts on dating culture?
It's dead.
If you want, can you say more about what that means? Could you elaborate?
I think people focus a lot on superficial aspects when they approach the dating scene and often don't spend long enough trying to get to know somebody. I think also people kind of rush into it too much and should try to maybe become better friends with people before, try to get to know someone more before they start thinking about romantic things.
I have been with my boyfriend now for almost 3 years, and we have been through so many of those formative experiences together. I think kind of college is this supposed to be this transformative time in your life where you discover who you are, who you want to be, at least for some point in time, and doing that with another person, and just knowing I have someone there who's going through the same things. We can support each other. We will change, but we're changing together. I think has been a really beautiful part of my experience.
What is your opinion on dating culture?
I don't think dating makes sense, or at least in college, in the sense that I think people should have fun and not take it too seriously. And I think I'm open to hookup culture and open relationship and just experimenting and doing stuff without actually having any consequences or having to always text someone back or make sure someone's fine and just live your life.
So I am a strong believer in hookup culture. I think it's okay to test out different things and find people that you like with low commitment. But I do think that in college it has gone a little too far to the point where people now have complete unrealistic expectations and are therefore unwilling to actually settle down for a real relationship. So I feel like there's a fine line between hookup culture and just being not open to truly finding love.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about dating apps, especially in college. I feel like it's only hookups, and it's so scary. Yeah. Because you don't even know the person, and what do you mean? Personal. Yeah, and what do you mean I'm gonna go 30 minutes? 30 minutes is crazy. Wait. More to a different university or something to go hook up with a guy that I never met before, and they obviously they're not expecting a relationship. But I feel just dating websites or apps are not realistic.
I feel if you're on Tinder in college, it is basically just to hook up. At least that's what I've kind of experienced. It's I don't see anyone our age looking for a serious relationship on Tinder.
Yeah. You also just I don't know, it makes you emotionless. So kind of wanting anything out of people,
Yeah, and then I feel it's kind of I don't know. It just makes you feel kind of wow, all right, this is it. Cool. What am I supposed to do with this?
And then okay, let's say you are part of the 1% and you find your husband or wife, right? It's you have no story, you have an app. that's how I met your mother. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not real. Like, that's crazy.
If there was an ideal situation, how would you describe it?
Like to meet someone?
Yeah, for dating.
I mean, if it's an app, it's an app. Like, I've seen great love stories happen that way, but personally, I feel like I would like to meet someone, like, just naturally. Mm-hmm. And, like, I feel like in my experience, it's always good to start off as being friends. But, like, I'm not sure if I've ever, like, really talked to someone without being friends with them first. Like, I don't think I've just been like, hey, let's go. Oh,
I have. Like, literally, that's my situation right now. I actually just met this guy, and like I just started getting to know him off the bat. Like, we weren't friends, anything. He was a mutual friend, and like, yeah, it's by mistake. I think that's my perfect like love story. It's like you're not looking, and like
when you're not looking for something is when
you're really not, and then you're just like meeting them, and you're like, holy crap! Now my world is like flipped. Now I'm considering.
Aww, that's cute.
What are your thoughts on dating culture?
So I actually did a research project on how technology has affected our ability to date. And what the results were that basically it gamified it in a way. Like when you swipe on Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, it just makes it like a fun little game, and you don't really see these people as people, rather as like characters. And you see a lot of people being like, this is just a fun little game for me, you know, which has made it so we're desensitized to the facts. But also just in general, like without the Tinder and stuff, people nowadays are having more problems trying to settle down for some reason. Like that has been my experience, and people take longer to settle down, which I don't see it's a problem though, because like past years, like back when people were forced to settle down and marry, especially women were like meant to be taken care of, but now we can actually choose and take our time, which is why marriage is happening later. So I don't think romance is dead. It's just happening a bit later than it used to.
I think the fact that people, you know, like making genuine connections with the other person, that's become very underrated. It's become very physical. It's become very like materialistic, dating and like dating apps and what they expect from the other person. But just a simple process of getting to know the other person, you know, taking the time and effort to ask genuine questions, which will just make you connect on a deeper level. That's kind of missing in today's world. And also, you know, added to the fact that everything's just become so much more busier. People don't have time to like actually invest time in asking genuine questions. Maybe that's like a cause, but yeah, just forming a deeper connection is what I'll say is lacking.
Okay, a follow-up if you want to answer. Do you think that people tend to self-sabotage and create this as an issue for themselves and make dating harder on themselves, or that it's more of a systemic and societal issue, or like a balance of both?
Ooh, good question. I think when people say they don't have time, that kind of already tricks their brain into thinking, yeah, they don't have time for dating. But I feel like if you find the right person, you will automatically make time. Because if you find the right person, you'll naturally feel good around them. You'll feel great actually around them. So you don't need time. You don't need to like create time to spend time with them. But I do believe it's a systemic issue in the sense that everything's become very like, competitive. You know, jobs, internships, life in college has become very stressful. So we all collectively agree that there's less time to actually invest in dating, whereas it should not be the case. Dating is like an essential part of, you know, a human experience, if that makes sense.
So Adam, what are your thoughts on dating culture?
I think that it's gone online too much. That's one thing. We haven't been able to sit down with one another, talk to one another with no expectations. I think there's an issue with expectations. You know, you immediately text somebody and immediately wait for their response back, or you immediately want something to happen. Like you're almost expecting something to work out when truly, in fact, it may not. So I think at the end of the day, since this dating app era started, I think we've become more just inflamed to small things. Like if someone denies us, then we become angry. If something doesn't work out, we become angry, and then we move on to the next thing very quickly, which then leads to you kind of giving up rather than trying again, or talking to somebody again, or forgiving somebody for something that they said. So I think by going away from this kind of application style of things and just talking to one another, maybe we could heal that thing that we lost, I think, as a community. And then hopefully as a result, that would allow us to, communicate better and, just be ourselves at the end of the day. So yeah, I'm hopeful. I'll try to continue doing that myself.
Something that I would like to say about, when people are actually dating, what I've noticed from a lot of my friends who've come to talk to me about their relationships is that it seems like the standards are very different between a romantic relationship and a friendship, and people often will have a lot of issues that would not be there if the channel of communication was open in a way that made more sense and was more honest and vulnerable. Because a lot of people, it seems like they're I don't know what's going through this person's head, and I don't know what to expect, and I don't want to I don't want to mess things up. And it's just, for me, outside looking in, I'm well, in a romantic relationship, if you're going to already be so intimate with somebody, shouldn't your communication be at a point where you're not worried about being able to be honest with them? And if not, why, how are you in a relationship with this person? How are you this close to the person, but you don't feel like you have to tread the water so carefully? You know what I mean? So I think it's important that the standards for communication are more healthy, I guess. You shouldn't be worried about if you can talk to the person. It should just be about the content of what you're saying, but not whether the trust is there to even have the conversation. That's my opinion. Thank y'all for listening.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Unmasked. Tune in next week to hear
us again. Take care.